to 9 bits. So we're going to borrow to here. Because if we add up all of these numbers to this point, we get to 510. Actually 511. Which is bigger than 400. But if we came down to this one, we'd only have 254, which is not big enough for 400. So we've got to borrow 9 bits. Now, so that means, and we're only going to create 2 subnets right here. One that's going to be used for this actual real one, and one that we're going to use to do all this rest of the stuff in. So this first subnet for this purpose of this one will be 172.0.129. Where did I get that number from? 8 zeros followed by a 1. Because if it's a 0 there, it would be the subnet. Y'all follow on that? So we got a 1 here. Followed by 6 zeros and a 1 for the first one there. Okay? I'll follow on that. Now, left over is going to be the 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 0 is going to be our unused one. With 7 zeros. Okay? Now then, we want 2 subnets with 100 hosts on. We're going to take that same one, this one right here, and remember we're breaking on this spot now, even though our octet is right there and right there. We've borrowed through the 9th position. So now to create the next part, we've got to count from this spot, not from the line of an octet, but from the first remaining space for the host numbers, which is actually in the 7th position. So we're going to do our numbering again like we did up here, our backwards numbering. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, wait a minute. I have to change this, that's not going to work. They've each got 60. Addresses on them. It's not going to work either. No, let's cut it down again. They've each got 30 on them. In which case we can borrow 2, 4, 6, 5 bits. So we're going to borrow 5 more bits to handle these 2. In addition, we're going to create an additional subnet that we're going to split further. All right. So the addresses for these two subnets are going to be 172.16, we know that part. And this one, notice, had a 1 in this position, which is the ones column. So what we're subnetting from is 172.16.1.0. So each of these is going to be .1. Because we know that much is completely constant. And then we're borrowing in the last 7, so this first one's address is going to be with a 1 in the 16s. So obviously the network address is going to be 16. First usable address is 172.16.1.17. This one is going to have a 1 in the 8s, and I just told you wrong number on that. I'm looking at my backwards counting. Because for this purpose, we're back counting correctly. So we had a 1 in the 4s, which means the first usable address is a 5. That doesn't work. I just goofed. All right, Rocky. Let's kill the tape and start again. All right, so let's take an address here that we've been given, that we've got a Class B address on 172.16.0.0. We want to have 400 hosts on one subnet, 100 hosts on another subnet, 100 hosts on another subnet, and 2 hosts on 3 different subnets. Those 2 host subnets are significant. They probably are router-to-router connections. Because on a router-to-router connection, you have to have a subnet connecting the 2. It's a serial connection between the 2 serial ports, and you can only have 2 hosts. So you are going to have subnets that only have 2 hosts on them, and that's all they can have on. No growth has to be planned on, because they can't grow. It's the other subnets that can grow, and you got to plan growth. And we're assuming right here that this 100, 100, and 400 is not how many hosts they need right now, but actually includes growth. But we're actually going to build growth into them, because with this one, we're going to actually give them 510 addresses available, and these 226 usable addresses each usable. So that's where we want to work from, is from this setup. Class B address, so the last 2 octets are available to us, their host area. What we're going to do with subnet, you can remember, is we're borrowing from the host area to create. Because we know how many hosts we want, we're going to count from the right to the left. If you were given the problem instead, if you needed so many subnets, remember you count from the left to the right in reverse binary counting. But we're going usually when you do vlsm, you're dealing with number of hosts, not subnets. And so that's the way we're going to go with this one. So if we look at this one, it's just the last 2 octets we're dealing with, so let's just